Girl, let me breathe before I even begin this, because the day everything changed, the day my whole marriage flipped upside down, started with me standing in my own kitchen holding a casserole. Yes, a casserole. A perfectly seasoned rosemary garlic chicken casserole I made for my husband's family dinner. And honestly, I should have left that pan in the oven until it turned to ash. I heard them before I even walked into the living room, his mother's sharp, nasal voice dripping with fake concern as she said she didn't understand why I didn't get a real job, followed by his sister laughing about my nonprofit like I was somewhere baking cookies for orphans. And then I heard him, Marcus, the voice I loved, laughing, saying my nonprofit kept me busy and that I'd be lost without him handling the bills. Girl, my jaw dropped. I nearly dropped that casserole because let's be very clear, I pay half that mortgage and not with pocket change. My heart was pounding, my hands shaking, not out of heartbreak, but humiliation. Something darker, heavier. They laughed again and Marcus added that I just didn't have the head for business like we do. We. That was it. I walked in with the fakest smile of my life, and the room went dead silent. Marcus blinked like he'd seen a ghost. I set the casserole down gently and said, "Don't let me interrupt your little comedy show." Their faces twisted like I'd walked in holding a weapon. Dinner was painfully quiet, but I didn't say much, because I wasn't hurt anymore. I was observing, taking notes, plotting. And when we got home, Marcus tried to play dumb, telling me they didn't mean anything until I cut him off and asked if he did. His face went cold as he told me I should be grateful because most men wouldn't carry the financial load the way he does. The load I carry right next to him. I left before I said something I couldn't take back, went to the bedroom, sat on the bed, and just stared. Not crying, not breaking, but calculating. Because that was the exact moment something in my soul shifted. That was the day I became someone Marcus should have never crossed. And honey, that was only the beginning because he had no idea who I really was. For the next week, Marcus was different. And now that I look back, I think he could feel it. Feel that I wasn't the same soft, forgiving little wife he thought I was. But what he didn't know was that I had receipts and I was about to collect more. 2 days after that disastrous dinner, I got a call from the Hartwell Foundation Advisory Board, and I stepped outside into the crisp morning air just as they told me, "Miss Parker, the board has finalized its vote. You've been selected as the new chairwoman. Congratulations." Chairwoman. That word cracked through my life like fireworks. And before you think my little nonprofit magically leveled up overnight, let me be clear, it was never little to begin with. The Hartwell Foundation funded programs nationwide, and I was their anonymous major donor, using money Marcus didn't even know I had. Because long before I met him, I built a consulting business from scratch and sold it for a massive profit. He thought I had savings from my grandmother. No, baby, that was generational wealth I created myself. I kept that money quiet, not because I didn't trust him. No, looking back, maybe I should have. But because I liked living modest, comfortable, calm. But calm wasn't an option anymore. And when they said chairwoman, I almost laughed because guess who the Hartwell Foundation funds? A list of national programs including Graham Tech, the company Marcus worked for. And not just any part of it, but the program that saved his entire department from being shut down last year. Without Hartwell, without me, his job would have been dust, and he had no idea I was the silent power behind it. So I thanked them, said, "It's time for a new era," and when I hung up, the wind moved through the trees like the universe was giving a standing ovation. I walked back inside and past Marcus, who didn't even look up from his phone, and asked, "Big day at work?" He grunted, "Same old, meetings, real work." Real work. Girl, I bit back a smirk so sharp it could have cut my lip. Because in that moment, I realized the truth that shifted the entire direction of my revenge. He didn't just disrespect me. He underestimated me. An underestimation is a weapon in the hands of a woman who knows exactly what she's capable of. Later that night, while he snored beside me, dead to the world, I lay there on my pillow, smiling. If he thought humiliation was the end of this story, oh, honey, we were just turning the page. Now, let me tell you something that will make your edges curl. The next morning, Marcus left early. Rushing, sloppy, jittery, not kissing me goodbye, not even looking at me, which was fine because I had my own plans. I sat at my desk with a cup of vanilla almond coffee, opened my laptop, and logged into the confidential Hartwell portal. And honey, the tea was boiling. Graham Tech, the precious company Marcus bragged about like it was heaven's gift to mankind, had filed 3 new grant requests, all stamped with urgent flags: critical funding needed, department risk, immediate review requested. Baby, they were desperate, and desperate companies make mistakes. As chairwoman, I had access to every document, every budget report, every grant history. So I started reading, and the deeper I went, the wider my eyes got. Marcus's department was running a massive deficit, and someone had been shifting numbers to make it look cleaner. Someone whose initials were on every report, MT, Marcus Thompson. Girl, I said like a church mother catching a child lying about homework, because this wasn't just business. This was leverage. Real, powerful, life-changing leverage. I wasn't about to break the law, don't get it twisted, but exposure, accountability, transparency, all perfectly legal. And I could already see exactly how this puzzle could come together in a way Marcus would never recover from. Just then, my phone buzzed. A text from him. I might be home late. Don't wait up. I stared at the screen, then typed back, no problem. Because, honey, he had no idea I was becoming the one person who could make or break his entire career. And I wasn't done, not even close.
2 days later, I decided it was time to collect just a little more data. Not revenge yet, just seasoning. I arrived at Graham Tech unannounced, heels clicking across the marble lobby like I owned the building. Technically, through the foundation's funding pipeline, I kinda did. The receptionist, sleek Amaya with box braids and bubblegum pink nails, looked up fast. "Oh, Mrs. Thompson, do you need me to call Marcus?" I smiled, the kind of smile that says, "No, baby, I'm not here for him." "No need. I'm here for the director, just letting him know the foundation is conducting site visits." Her eyes widened, bright and excited. "The Hartwell Foundation? Like, the Hartwell? Wow, I'll let him know immediately." Within seconds, executives appeared like ants on sugar, hands shaking, voices nervous, fake smiles painted on, and whisked me into the boardroom like I was royalty. Snacks appeared, macarons, fresh fruit, cucumber water floating like luxury mermaids, and every few minutes executives whispered, "Who approved the site visit? Is funding changing? Did Marcus know?" Honey, the paranoia was delicious. Then the director, Mr. Calder, cleared his throat. "We weren't expecting anyone from Hartwell. Are there concerns?" I lowered my voice, soft but serious. "Let's just say the foundation is taking a closer look at any departments with reporting inconsistencies." His face drained, heartbeat thumped. "I'll have every report sent to your office immediately," he said. "Thank you," I replied. "And while we're here, perhaps I should meet the team." His smile froze, so he led me down the hallway toward Marcus's department. My heels echoed like gunshots. We turned a corner, and there he was, Marcus, laughing, tossing a stress ball, oblivious until he saw me, jerking like someone doused him in ice water. "Babe, what are you doing here?" His coworker whispered. "That's your wife? Dude, she's—" Marcus elbowed him sharply, panicked. I folded my hands. "I'm here on business." The director stepped forward. "Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Thompson is here representing the Hartwell Foundation." His eyebrows shot up so high I thought they'd leave his forehead entirely. "Representing Hartwell? You work with them?" I tilted my head. Something like that. He looked like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over his soul. And then Mr. Calder added, "We will be conducting a full audit of your department's grant reports." Marcus went sheet white, voice cracking. "A full audit?" The director nodded, grimly. "Effective immediately." He swallowed so hard his Adam's apple did a workout. I gave him one last look, just enough warmth to confuse him, just enough indifference to scare him, and said, "I'll see you at home, sweetheart." Then I walked away, heels tapping like a countdown, and behind me, I could hear the panic settling into his bones. That night, Marcus came home late. Not the working overtime late, but the I've been pacing the parking lot trying not to have a breakdown late. He tossed his keys, rubbed his forehead, and muttered, "Why didn't you tell me? About Hartwell. I didn't even look up from my book. You never asked." He sputtered, "But you handle you're involved with? I haven't audited because—" And then his voice got small. Small. I closed my book gently. "Marcus, the Foundation audits departments all the time. If you've done nothing wrong, you have nothing to worry about." His eyes flickered, just for a second, but long enough for me to know he had everything to worry about. He started pacing. I might have moved some numbers around, okay? Everyone does it. It's not a big deal." I raised an eyebrow. "Is that so?" He froze, realizing exactly what he'd just admitted. "I didn't mean, I wouldn't, I—" He was unraveling. I leaned back on the sofa, crossed my legs, and asked, "Why would you lie to the board, Marcus?" He spun around. "Why are you being like this? We're supposed to be a team, and you, what, work for them now?" Work for them? I almost laughed, but instead I kept it airy, mysterious. Something like that. He shot me a desperate look. "You're not going to say anything, right? I mean, it's just a few numbers." Just a few numbers. In a world where funding kept communities alive, where misuse could cost people jobs, where grants changed lives. I tilted my head. "That depends." "On what?" he whispered. "On how you treat me." The silence that followed was heavy, dense, electric, an entire power shift condensed into one breath. He understood the message, and that terrified him. That night, he lay beside me stiff as a statue, while I slept like a baby, because the tables, they had officially turned. The next morning, I slipped into a charcoal gray pantsuit that hugged every curve like it had been sculpted for me, added diamond studs, and drove to Hartwell Foundation headquarters. Today was the day. The day I would officially become chairwoman. And girl, the way people stared as I walked into that colossal glass building. Honey, I wasn't a visitor anymore. I was the future. The board meeting was crisp, professional, buzzing with excitement. And when the president of the foundation stood, a tall, elegant woman with silver locks and a presence that could silence a room, she said, "Ladies and gentlemen, today we welcome a leader whose vision has shaped this foundation from behind the scenes, someone who has funded, inspired, and guided our growth." She turned to me. I rose. "Please welcome our new chairwoman, Miss Naomi Parker." Applause erupted, dramatic, swelling, and I smiled. Steady, regal, knowing exactly what this moment meant. But the real twist? During the board lunch, the president leaned in close and whispered, "Your husband's company, they've grown dependent on our grants. You should know, if we freeze their pipeline, their Q4 collapses." I blinked slowly. "Freeze it," I said, soft but firm. Her eyebrows lifted. "Completely?" "Every penny." There was a pause. Then she nodded. "Consider it done, Madam Chair." I exhaled, long, calm, powerful, and right then I realized this wasn't just revenge anymore. This was justice. 3 days later, I received my official Chairwoman Gala invitation. Gold foil, thick cardstock, embossed lettering, pure luxury. And I placed it on the kitchen counter like bait. Marcus walked in, half asleep, grabbed his mug, and froze mid-sip when he saw it. "What's this?" he asked. I didn't look up. "An invitation." "For what?" I shrugged. "A gala. Work thing." He picked it up, read the name, and his mouth fell open. "Chairwoman? Naomi, you're the..." The mug slipped from his hand and shattered on the tile. Girl, the way that sound echoed through the house, beautiful. You, you're the chairwoman, as in the chairwoman of Hartwell? I finally turned my head and smirked. Surprise. His face twisted, confusion, then realization, then fear. But that means the audit, the funding, the freezes. Naomi, baby, please. You have to talk to them. You have to fix this. I stood slowly, walked over, and looked him dead in the eyes. Why would I fix anything? You said my work wasn't real, remember? He stepped back. I didn't mean that. My family, look, I was under pressure. And lying about our finances? Mocking me? Undermining me at work? He stuttered, I can explain. I raised a hand. Save it for the gala. He blinked rapidly. The gala? I handed him a small envelope. You're invited, as my +1. And trust me, you'll want to be there. He looked at it like it was a bomb. And honey, he wasn't wrong. The night of the gala came faster than Marcus expected, and slower than he needed. He spent the entire week walking around me like a scared intern who accidentally wiped the company server, washing dishes without being asked, packing my lunch, rubbing my feet. Pathetic. But I stayed quiet, graceful, untouchable, because the real show wasn't happening in our house. It was happening at the Hartwell Foundation Annual Impact Gala, held at the glass-covered Aurora Grand Hotel downtown, an event dripping with old money, new power, and elegance you could taste in the air. When I stepped out of the car, girl, let me tell you, my dress, custom, silk, black and gold, cut low in the back with the slip that said, "Don't play with me unless you can afford the consequences." My curls were pinned into a crown of soft waves, and my makeup, flawless, not a pore out of place, cheekbones slicing souls. Marcus stepped out after me in a tux, sweating like he was already under interrogation lights, and we hadn't even walked in yet. As we entered the ballroom, a wave of perfume, violin strings, and soft chatter washed over us. Chandeliers sparkled like fallen stars, waiters glided with champagne trays, and hundreds of guests looked like they stepped straight out of a billionaire's daydream. Then, microphone, testing sound, the announcer's voice rang out. "Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our newly elected chairwoman of the Hartwell Foundation, Ms. Naomi Parker." The crowd erupted. Flashbulbs, applause, people rising to their feet. Marcus's lips parted like he couldn't breathe. I placed a gentle hand on his arm, leaned in close enough for only him to hear, and whispered, "Smile, sweetheart. They're looking." He did, a twisted, terrified little smile, and we walked in together. But the way people parted from me, the way they reached out to greet me, the way they said, "Madam Chair, congratulations, your leadership is already transforming the foundation." It was like watching his ego die in real time. His eyes darted everywhere, looking for someone, anyone, to treat him like the big man he pretended to be. But nobody cared. He wasn't the star tonight. I was, and he was only just realizing it. About an hour into the gala, Marcus excused himself to get some air, but I followed. Not too close, just enough to witness what I suspected would happen, because desperation makes men sloppy. Sure enough, I spotted him near the terrace, whispering aggressively to a senior executive named Drayton, a man who always wore suits 2 sizes too big. Drayton shook his head, flustered. "Marcus, I can't help you. Hartwell already froze us.
You said your wife had connections, not that she was the damn chairwoman. Marcus grabbed his arm. Please, please, you have to stall the audit. I'll fix the numbers. Drayton yanked away. The numbers? Marcus, your department created the damn deficit. Nearby guests started glancing over. And baby, that's when it happened. Drayton raised his voice, frustrated, overwhelmed, and definitely not thinking straight. Your lies put all of us in danger. A few guests gasped. A woman covered her mouth. Someone whispered, "Isn't that the chairwoman's husband?" And Marcus? Girl, he went stiff, eyes wide, face flushed with humiliation. Drayton stormed off, leaving him standing there, alone, exposed, pathetic. I stepped forward, slow, calm, glowing under the chandelier light. He inhaled sharply. Naomi, I can explain. Explain what? I asked gently. You're lying? Your fraud? Or the fact that you only valued me when you thought you were above me? He opened his mouth. No words came out. People were still watching. A waiter nearby pretended to check wine bottles while clearly eavesdropping. I lowered my voice, firm and clear. I told you at the dinner table. I heard every word, every joke, every insult, every lie. He swallowed. Naomi, baby, I swear, I didn't. And now the whole room has heard the truth. His eyes glistened, not from remorse, but fear. His voice cracked. Please don't ruin me. I tilted my head. Oh, sweetheart, I'm not ruining you. You did that all by yourself. An hour later, the lights dimmed, the orchestra quieted, a spotlight hit the stage, and the foundation's president walked to the mic. Tonight, we honor a woman whose dedication, integrity, and financial generosity has impacted millions across the country. I felt Marcus go still beside me. Financial, generosity. He had no clue. A woman who has been our anonymous primary donor for over 5 years. Marcus looked at me sharply. I didn't look at him. A woman whose investments have funded education, mental health access, small Black-owned businesses, and life-saving community programs nationwide. His jaw trembled. The president smiled out at the room. Tonight, we reveal her identity. Silence. Then the president extended a hand toward me. Please welcome to the stage Miss Naomi Parker, our chairwoman and the Hartwell Foundation's largest donor. The room exploded. Cameras flashing, people cheering, a standing ovation that felt like my ancestors clapping behind me. I stood, smoothed my dress, and glided toward the stage. Marcus grabbed my arm, not hard, just desperate. Naomi, what the hell? You're the donor? You're the... How much money? I smiled down at him, queenly, untouchable. Enough to never need you. Then I slipped out of his grip and walked toward my crown. The applause grew louder with each step I took. And behind me, Marcus collapsed back into his chair, head in his hands, breathing fast, because everything he thought he controlled, he never controlled at all. And everything he thought made him powerful was really me all along. I reached the podium, the spotlight warm on my skin, sparkling off the gold details of my dress. The crowd slowly quieted. I looked out at them. Politicians, philanthropists, executives, community leaders, celebrities, all waiting for my words. I took a breath, then began. For years, I funded this foundation anonymously. Not because I feared judgment, but because I wanted the work to speak louder than the person behind it. I saw Marcus in the crowd, eyes wet, mouth trembling. I continued. But tonight,
Transparency matters because too often, Black women do the work, but others take the credit. A rumble of agreement rolled through the room. Too often, we are dismissed, underestimated, and told our impact is small. Then I let my gaze land on Marcus, softly, subtly, until the day we decide to speak for ourselves. Cameras flash like lightning. I let a beat pass, then delivered the blow. And tonight, as my first act as chairwoman, I am instituting a rigorous ethics review for any organization receiving our funds. The executive table nodded proudly, but Marcus went pale as moonlight because integrity is not optional and misuse of foundation resources will no longer be tolerated. Gasps, whispers. A woman somewhere near Marcus muttered, "Oh my God, her husband's department is under audit." Another whispered, "She's talking about him." The humiliation on his face was chef's kiss. And yet, the real twist was still coming. I stepped back from the mic and smiled. Calm, serene, deadly. After my speech, the president returned to the stage, unscheduled, unexpected, and instantly electrifying the room. She took the mic, turned to me, and said, "As Chairwoman Parker mentioned, integrity is our priority. And in the spirit of transparency, the Foundation has completed a preliminary internal audit to ensure that we model the accountability we expect." The room buzzed. Marcus sat up sharply. "Tonight," she continued, "we will publicly recognize organizations whose records did not meet our ethical guidelines." Cameras flashed. My pulse steadied. She opened a gold folder and the entire ballroom leaned in, breathless. "We regret to announce that Gramtech's Digital Services Department has been placed on immediate funding suspension pending investigation into falsified reporting." Gasps exploded across the room. Chairs scraped. Whispers rose like smoke. And Marcus, girl, he shot to his feet so fast his chair crashed behind him. "No, wait, that's not fair. This is political." He stared at me, finally seeing the truth. I held every card, every dollar, every ounce of power he pretended belonged to him. He stumbled forward, voice cracking, "Naomi, please don't do this." Executives, donors, board members, all watching him unravel. I stepped off the stage, walking toward him slow and controlled, heels slicing through the tension. He reached for my hand, pathetically, desperately. I pulled away. "Marcus, this isn't me doing anything. This is simply consequences." His breath hitched. "Consequences you created." I met his eyes, unblinking. "And consequences you must now face." Behind me, the president's voice boomed through the speakers. "An internal investigation will determine which individuals were responsible. If fraudulent activity is confirmed, termination and legal action may follow." Marcus clutched his chest like the floor was tilting beneath him. And the best part? I still wasn't done. Security escorted Marcus outside, not because he was violent, but because he was loud, shouting to anyone who'd listen, "It's my wife! She did this! She's sabotaging me!" They didn't even respond, just moved him along like a drunk uncle at a wedding, leaving him pacing the entrance while I let him wait. 20 minutes, then 30. When I finally stepped out into the cool night air, he rushed toward me, eyes red, tie crooked, sweat beading at his hairline. "Naomi, I'm begging you, please undo this. Please talk to them. I'll do anything." So I handed him a white envelope. He blinked, opened it with trembling hands, and the way his knees buckled when he realized what it was, pure poetry. "Divorce papers?" he choked. I nodded. "You mocked my work.
You lied about my finances. You demeaned me to boost your ego. And then you committed fraud with an organization I fund? He clutched the papers like venomous snakes. I I can change. You already changed, I said, into someone I never want near my life again. And he fell apart. Right there on the sidewalk, a grown man sobbing while luxury cars pulled up beside us. Donors stepped out of a Rolls Royce whispering, "Isn't that the chairwoman's husband?" He heard it. All of it. He collapsed into a crouch, head in his hands. Only then did I kneel, lean in, and whisper, "Marcus, you taught me that when people show you their truth, you believe them. So believe this. I'm done." He reached for me. I stood, walked away, and let the door close behind me with a soft, final click. A week later, the consequences began to unfold. I received 3 updates in a single afternoon. Gramtech had fired Marcus. The audit revealed multiple violations he'd personally signed off on, and the foundation announced it was severing ties with his former department for good. I didn't gloat, and I didn't celebrate. Instead, I sat on my balcony with a cup of jasmine tea, watching the sunrise cast gold over the city. Then my phone buzzed. A message from Marcus. "Please, one chance, just one. I'm nothing without you." I didn't reply, but I did go straight to my lawyer's office and finalize the divorce. When the settlement arrived, with Marcus obligated to pay restitution for the assets he'd misused, my lawyer looked at me and said, "In all my years, Miss Parker, I've never seen karma delivered so elegantly." I simply smiled, because my revenge hadn't been angry or impulsive. It hadn't needed to be loud. It was strategic, regal, and unquestionably deserved.
Months passed. My nonprofit grew. The foundation expanded. I became a keynote speaker, a philanthropist, a visible leader instead of a silent one. Everywhere I went, people said, "Madam Chair, your speech changed everything. You inspired me. Thank you for your leadership." I didn't need Marcus. I didn't need his validation. I had my own power, my own wealth, my own destiny. And the best part? Not once did I have to stoop to his level. I stayed classy, focused, strategic, and that is exactly why I won. Now let me speak directly to you, sis. If someone has ever underestimated you, mocked you, used you, or thought your crown was too heavy for your head, remember this. A Black woman doesn't need permission to step into her power. She only needs the moment she decides she's done being underestimated. And when that moment comes, baby, nothing can stop you. Nothing. If you've ever been betrayed, humiliated, or doubted, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another Black Queen revenge story. Because every week, I'm bringing you more tales of power, justice, and the victory of women who rise above everything meant to break them. I'm your girl Naomi, and this has been another story of a queen reclaiming her crown. Until next time, queens, stay powerful, stay brilliant, stay undefeated.